This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Ballpark in West Sacramento as we're getting you ready for the rubber game of the three-game set between the Athletics and the Seattle Mariners. What a win last night for the A's. We have a lot of action going on in baseball. Players are being traded as we speak. Trading deadline, well, we will not be here for the trading deadline. We'll have the day off tomorrow, so we'll try and get as much action as we can today, as the trading deadline will be tomorrow at 3 o'clock West Coast time. What a show today, though. Shea Langeliers is red hot, so get me Shea Langeliers. I want him today.
He's going to be here soon, I think.
Okay, he's going to be here. Shea Langeliers is going to be here. Last 12 games, he's been absolutely on fire, hitting .391, 6 home runs, 10 extra base hits, 12 RBIs, 40 total bases, and a 1301 OPS. So can't wait to talk to Shea Langeliers today. David Feldman, our A's historian, will be here at 5:30. And then Adam Burke from VSiN. Let's face it, gaming is becoming a huge part of Major League Baseball. We always like to stay at the forefront of things that are of change. Now, I'm not saying we're at the forefront of gambling in baseball. It's been going on a long time, but we're going to start forging relationships as we move to Las Vegas like we've never done before. So Adam Burke from VSiN will be stopping by. We're going to be at the VSiN studios in October for the World Series. We're going to be at Circa Swim at Circa Casino and Resort. Cannot wait. So Adam Burke will make his debut, and we'll just go over a very beginning guide of what baseball and gaming is like. Obviously, we're not able, because of being MLB employees, we cannot gamble on baseball, but we can't talk about it, and it's going to be a future of what we do here on A's Cast Live. So Shea Langeliers, David Feldman, Adam Burke. Okay. In front of me, if you're just listening on A's Cast or the A's Radio Network, you can't see these two beautiful white boxes of cookies. But what happens is, it is a privilege to call in after the show on A's Talk. You're just not everybody gets in, because the number is 833-625-2278. Thank you for that. Yes, at some point, certain people we don't bring on. We like to have most people, but it is a privilege to call. And if you do something, you can get banished from the show. And I have always said the two things that will keep you off A's Talk is cursing and saying things that are going to be not good for the younger listeners, because we have a lot of young listeners. I have guys that grew up, they were little kids, especially back in the Oakland days, where they would tell me how they would sneak transistor radios into their bed and they'd listen to the postgame show at night, and now they're grown men. So I've always known that we have little kids who are defying their parents of going to bed and listening to the show because they want to be entertained and they like it and they love the A's. And I'm sure that tradition has continued here in Sacramento and also still back in the Bay Area. So I want to keep it as family friendly as we possibly can. And so if you start going off the rails with language and certain things, you got to go. And especially with cursing. Well, one of our longtime listeners, friend of the program, Dennis and Hilmar, dropped the S-bomb the other night, very casually, didn't mean to do it. You know, sometimes you just get rolling and you drop an S-bomb here or there. Well, he was put in the penalty box. And the way to get out of the penalty box is his beautiful wife, Vicky, makes unbelievable cookies And so for him to get out of the penalty box, he had to produce Vicky's famous cookies, and here they are.
I have been looking forward to this all day.
So it's A's jerseys. It's got my college baseball number 21 on it. So she made me a set of A's cookies, which are absolutely delicious. And then for the two-time World Series champion, she took care of Saxy also. Now, Sax wasn't number 3 with the A's. He was number 6, I believe. But everybody knows Steve Sax's number as 3 for all the years they played for the Dodgers. Was he 3 with the Yankees too?
Well, I'd have to look. Let's see.
I mean, all those numbers are retired, right?
Babe Ruth
wore 3. So dig him up. Let's get Sax number 3. Who was Sax?
I mean, I'm sure George Costanza wore the uniform in Seinfeld. Why can't someone wear the jersey now? With the Yankees, he was
dead.
Cross him.
He was number
off
6.
then.
Yeah.
So 6 with the Yankees,
Yep.
6 with the A's. He was 7 with the Yankees too.
That's the White Sox.
The White Sox. He was 7.
Yeah.
So number 3 for Sax. So I know Vicky may be watching right now on YouTube. I don't know why you married Dennis. He's a lucky man, though. He was so lucky to have you. I mean, to think what Vicky has had to put up with all these years, and now Dennis is retired, so he's around all the time. You're a saint, Vicky. You're an absolute saint. Thank you for the cookies. Your cookies are world renowned, and I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, well, Dennis is when he calls in. Every time I hear him, he's always walking around with the flag and the cul-de-sac.
He runs around the cul-de-sac with an A's flag after wins. Can you imagine? That's your husband. But we love him. He's one of ours. And when we have this closed door meeting of the callers, Dennis will be there.
Yeah.
For the A's right now, I think we got to be pretty happy with what's going on right now. 12-11 in July. We're not happy overall with the season. It is what it is. We get it. But right now we're seeing progress. 12-11 in the month of July. The offense is really hitting on a lot of different notes. 52 extra base hits since the All-Star break. 98 extra base hits in the month of July. That's second in all of baseball. There's 60 runs scored since the All-Star break. That is all good. I think the bullpen probably, more importantly, the bullpen, the way it has performed since June 20th, the 309 earned run average. Don't look at the game notes. Trust the commander. The game notes aren't correct.
That's what I was told. And I had a double check with Nick, the producer for Ace Cast and NBC Sports California, for the pregame show, and we both got the same number, and the game notes had a different number. So
all right, well, you're right. 309 is the earned run average since June 20th. 10 home runs is the fewest in Major League Baseball during that time. I mean, the bullpen was giving up so many home runs. Just giving up 10 since June 20th is huge. And 41 earned runs, that is the best in the American League since June 20th. So starting to get some good starts from the starters. Bullpen's been pretty locked down, and you look at the offense, a very good recipe, and all of a sudden the A's are really competitive. You just won a 4-game set for the first time ever down in Houston, and now a chance. The Mariners have been handed to the A's for years. You got a chance now all of a sudden to take 2 out of 3.
Take 2 out of 3. You can finish with your first winning month since April, which is nice to have. You want to win months, and the A's had a winning month in April. We don't need to go what happened with May and June because the Mariners kind of started that, the losing streak. I mean, we won the 1 game in LA, but the team has looked better. And, big key of that is Nick Kurtz, what he's done, and he's closing it on a rookie milestone if he can get it tonight because, obviously the team doesn't play tomorrow ahead of the trade deadline. And then what Shea Langeliers has done since the All-Star break, which he should be up here soon, he's been incredible. I didn't have the numbers in front of me, but yeah.
You kind of balked, huh?
Shea Langeliers since the All-Star break, 12 games, 391 average, 6 home runs. That's the second most in baseball. 10 extra base hits. That's second most. 12. These are all mainly to Nick Kurtz.
I already gave these like a couple minutes ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing it again.
Thanks for listening. Go ahead. I mean, you're on a roll.
47 doubles.
40 total bases. That's a good one. And a 1301 OPS.
Good to know the producer and the guy on the set who's here on the show actually listens to the show as it's going on. You mentioned that Nick Kurtz thing. It's a pretty big deal. So Nick Kurtz is 1 extra base hit shy of setting the modern-day record for most extra base hits in a calendar month by a rookie. His 25 extra base hits in July are tied with anybody? Anyone? Anybody listening? Anybody here? Anybody like other than me a part of this show? No idea?
What is it?
25 extra base hits in July for a rookie is tied with who all time? Nick Kurtz with an extra base hit tonight. Remember, we had an all-star break.
All time for hits in a month by a rookie?
Extra base hits.
Extra base hits. Is it recent?
Nobody?
Someone semi-recent?
Ichiro.
You guys don't know Rudy York in August of 1937?
Would not have had that on my bingo
You didn't have
card,
that?
no.
Okay, you didn't have that.
I apologize.
But, I mean, think about it. We had an all-star break, and this guy with one more extra base hits can set the record, the most extra base hits in a month by a rookie since 1900. That's how incredible Nick Kurtz is. I mean, we got a lot of interesting things going on. Johan Duran has been traded. Who's he going? He's going to the Red Sox?
No, Duran's going to the Phillies.
Duran. Oh, wow.
He's going to the Phillies. Ryan Helsley, the Cardinals closer, going to the Mets.
Wow, that beats up their bullpen with Diaz.
Diaz, him, and then they got Rogers from the Giants earlier too. So they got three guys that could be their back end.
So that is the biggest thing for Philadelphia, right? They've always needed that guy in the ninth inning. And he's, 6-4 with a 2 ERA. He's got 16 saves. He's got incredible stuff. But, we've seen him be wild in the past. Like last year, he had a 3.64 ERA. But Duran, let's face it, that's a big pickup for the Philadelphia Phillies. Alvarado, who got popped for PEDs, cannot participate. The lefty who's so fantastic. He can't participate in the postseason. So that's a huge get for the Philadelphia Phillies and takes really, where'd you say Hensley went?
Helsley went to the Mets.
Helsley.
Yeah, Mets, yeah.
So you're taking people. So the whole thing about I didn't buy the Mason Miller talk, and because you got to realize there is such a difference between listening and shopping. Listening and shopping. Shopping is, all right, everybody, I have this player. He's out there. What will you give me? And whoever gives me the best deal, I'm sending him. Listening means just about every player in the history of baseball an executive has listened to about. Every single player in the history of baseball. I don't know about years and years and years ago how it went down, but in any recent time, I don't care who you are, a GM has taken a call and said, I'll listen. Hall of Famers, some of the greatest players, there's at least been conversation. They've put guys, some of the greatest players through waivers just to see.
Yeah, it's true.
So listening and shopping are two different things in baseball. So the Philadelphia Phillies, if there was a team that you thought was going to go in on heavy on Mason Miller, and let's face it, to get Mason Miller, you've got to give up so much. And we know for a fact that teams don't want to give up their prospect capital. That's bottom line.
Since 2023, one top 100 prospect was traded, and it was today. One.
Shea Langeliers. Let's go. Let's come on up. Here, take these cookies for me. Unless Shea wants a cookie. You want a cookie before the game? Okay, he's good. Hey, Cody, take these cookies. Shea Langeliers is with us here on the set. Have a seat. We said, who's the hottest guy other than Nick Kurtz on the team right now? And they said, Shea Langeliers. We got to get him on the set of A's Cast Live. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
You're red hot right now. How you feeling?
Really good. Just trying to keep it going.
Ever since you got off the IL, you've had a little spring to your step. The bat looks quick. You look a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Your throwing has been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to you when you were on the IL. You were super excited to get back.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, trying to look at everything in a positive way. Just kind of use that time to reflect on the season I had and kind of use the time to, get some rest and, obviously hurting my oblique, resting that, getting that better. And then, like you said, I was just excited to get back and play with the boys again and had a little extra, energy I felt like I could, give and been playing well.
There is something about being able to sit and observe and learn, reflection. And it's something that we're actually going to talk about today on NBC when we talk about Jacob Wilson and Max Muncy as they're out right now. You know, if you could give them advice on what you went through, how do you learn when you're observing and you can't play?
Yeah, it can be tricky. Sometimes naturally you want to go down that path. Like, it sucks, you got hurt, you want to be negative about it. But it's really, it's kind of like a reverse psychology almost, kind of using it to your benefit, looking at it in a positive way. As in, like, you know, your body's getting a little break. You get to kind of just have, you know, more chill days and less stressful, and kind of using it to recharge your, you know, mentally and physically, and just staying positive, being around the boys, bringing energy, even though you're not playing. And like I said, it's just trying to find every positive way to, you know, be the best version of yourself, even when you're not playing.
So with your job, it's so tough because, yes, we can talk about hitting, and I got the numbers here. Your last 12 games are absolutely on fire, where you're hitting 391 with 6 home runs, 10 extra base hits, 12 RBIs, 40 total bases. You're absolutely hot. But it's one thing to think about your offense, but you also got to think about all the different pitchers. There's a lot to think about. So when you had that time off, what were you really concentrating more on? Helping with the pitching staff, or were you think about your offense? What was it?
I would say a little bit of both. It's just, you know, obviously, you know, I feel like we keep coming back to it's a 162-game season. It's a long season. You're going to have your ups and your downs. Unfortunately, our downs this year were, you know, really down. And just kind of getting time to, like, a little bit of time away from the game and being able to reflect, like, what I thought had happened through a rough stretch like that, how we could be better, how we could turn around quicker for the next time we go down a similar path, just because it's bound to happen, you know, in another season, this season, whatever it may be, just because the season's so long. And just, you know, maybe it could be as simple as, you know, making a mound visit in the inning when I feel that energy of just, like, breaking the other team's momentum. Something as simple as that, and just being more aware of what's going on and things like that.
So when you get hot and things are going good like they are right now, what does that baseball look like to you?
It does look bigger. I will say that. I don't know as big as like a watermelon per se, but it does. It feels like it's coming in a little bit slower, and it looks a little bit bigger.
Something about it, man. When you get hot, you just get it rolling. Yeah. And obviously one of the biggest things is health. You know, in your time now playing every day at the big league level, how important is it to learn how to take care of your body?
That's probably the most important thing. And the only way to do it is trial and error. There's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's different. Everybody's got different routines. You just got to try things and figure out what works for you, what you like, what makes you feel good, how to eat, how much to sleep. There's stuff like that. The only way to figure it out is to do it.
Is there ever a time where you have to be really honest with yourself and you have to say, you know what, I've got to tell Kotz, maybe I need just a DH, or maybe I need a day off. I know you want to play every day, but is it smart to be honest with yourself? Because sometimes we have to protect you, the athletes, from yourselves.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, and Kotz preaches that all the time, just, you know, transparency and honesty, how we're feeling. Yes. Things of that nature, stuff like that. And you just, you know, you tell them how you're feeling. And, you know, there's a difference between, you know, if you're feeling a little something, you can play, or if something's more serious, stuff like that. But yeah, 100%, like, being honest is huge.
And you're the one position where guys really lose weight during the season, right?
Yeah.
And you look like you lost a little weight, but it looks like you got a little spring in your step when you're running. Do you feel you're a little faster right now?
I do. Yeah. I lost a little bit of weight this off season. Just make it a little bit easier on my knees this year, being able to move around better back there. And I felt like it's been beneficial comparatively to last year, how I feel at this point in the season compared to last year.
Well, your position is so interesting and so different because you're the only position to where you look out at everybody and everybody else is looking at you, right? That's why we talk about catchers make great managers. Catchers, you control the game. You're like a captain out there. I want to give this to you because I think you got to be proud of your bullpen. Since June 20th, your bullpen has a 3.09 ERA, one of the best in baseball, only giving up 10 home runs. That's the third fewest in baseball. 41 earned runs, best in the American League. Just talk about helping that bullpen and how they've gotten much better.
Yeah, it's I mean, you said it, like the numbers, it just proves it's been a lot of fun lately. Getting, deeper into the game. If it's a close game, we know those guys that, are running out of the bullpen are going to give us a chance late into that game to win the game, keep us in the game, shut doors. It's been a lot of fun, and a lot of prep work goes into stuff like that, obviously with their bodies and being ready to pitch and scouting reports and understanding how their pitches play and, when certain times to throw their pitches. So it's been a lot of fun.
And the starters, it seems like they've started to find their groove, and it's kind of that, everybody's vibing off each other. Nobody wants to be the weak link.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun when you start getting on a run like this. It seems like one starting pitcher does well, and then the next guy wants to do well. It kind of gets those competitive juices flowing, and then you get that momentum building, and then we just keep going.
All right, we know this is not the year that you guys wanted to have. There were a lot of expectations coming out of spring training, and things started out good, and then unfortunately May happened. But right now, with what you've seen, especially, you're not a young guy anymore, and you're looking at this young core. When you look out at the team right now, just like how good do you think this young core and you guys can really be when you start to look like next year?
Honestly, yeah. With this young core, the sky is the limit. The potential of this team is obviously winning World Series championships. It's just, honestly, it feels like it's just a matter of time when we're going to put it all together. Things are going to start clicking. Each individual guy is going to start building more confidence and showing up to the yard every day, expecting to win. It's just things like that. You just keep building off the little wins, and then eventually, you're competing for World Series.
At what point in the clubhouse did you start to realize you're becoming a leader?
I would maybe towards the end of last year, the end of 2024.
Yeah, it's something that just kind of happens. I think all of a sudden guys start asking you stuff. You used to ask those questions. Yeah. Now those questions are being asked to you. And it's kind of something that just gradually happens. And all of a sudden you're kind of a guy people look up to. And I've really noticed that. And we understand when we have players in this situation and like where you are right now, and the younger guys come up and they start bringing up your name, I start realizing, okay, we're starting to see that transition. Tell us what that's like. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah. It is kind of funny. Like you said, it's the questions I was asking when I first came up, and the questions that I'm getting from the younger guys now. And I'm not one to claim to know all the answers and have all the answers. Just be as honest as I can with them, what my experiences were, what I went through, what I thought helped me. And like I said before, everybody's different. Everybody's going to have, a different answer to what their question is. And I just, go off my experience and what I felt made me better. And then they adjust with that.
Has it been fun watching Nick Kurtz?
It's been really fun. He's unbelievable.
He's hitting like you do every single time you go to Texas.
Yeah.
And he's doing it everywhere. It's insane.
He does it all the time. Yeah.
By the way, I've been saying that. I go, when the kid from Texas goes home, there is something about you when you go home to the Lone Star State. I know in Arlington, you're going home, sleeping in your own bed, but even when you go to Houston, what is it about when you go home, you go back, that you put the Texan back in Texas and something happens with you?
Yeah, I'm just I'm comfortable there. It's my home state. All my friends and family are there. They get to come to the games and watch me play. I get to hang out with them before and after games. It's a lot of fun.
All right, let's end on this. Have we recapped with your sister about the softball World Series and what that was like for the family?
Yeah, it was obviously a once in a lifetime experience getting to the last game of the season, game 3 of the World Series.
Huge.
Obviously really cool experience for my sister. We were obviously all ecstatic that they got that far. It sucks the way that it ended the way that it did. They would love to win a national championship, but like I said, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. They had a lot of fun doing it. It was a lot of fun to watch.
What year is she in school?
She was senior. That was her last year.
Oh, you know what though? I did my senior year at San Jose State in baseball didn't end like that. Yours at Baylor, what? You were a junior.
Junior, yeah.
Yeah, none of us in. Yeah, how many of us end at the very final game playing for it all?
Yeah, just 2 of the teams. Only one team wins it.
God, that's great. Is she graduating?
Yeah.
What was it like for mom and dad? That had to be like a really special, because I know your whole family was there.
Yeah, everybody, obviously it was in Oklahoma City, so it's pretty close to the DFW area.
Yeah.
So pretty much my whole family drove up to watch the World Series. Obviously, I wish I would have gotten to be there, but I know it was special for them to get to watch, her last handful of games in college. And she's off in Boston now doing an internship for the summer. But yeah, I'm sure it was really special.
Yeah, those games used to not be on TV. It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was
right?
awesome. Each game was on ESPN.
Years ago, that wasn't on. Like now, that's how you end your career. That's awesome. Hey, keep it going. There's still a lot to learn for a lot of these young guys. I know you're going to be a big part of it, and keep swinging it well. You look great, and stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Shea Langeliers right here on A's Cast Live. Our A's historian, Dave Feldman, will join us next right here on A's Cast.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
A's All-Star Jacob Wilson joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about being named the starting shortstop for the American League in this year's All-Star game in Atlanta.
You can't even describe it. They're just, it's everything you've ever wanted as a baseball player, to be able to hear those words. And, a countless amount of thank yous that, go out to the teammates, coaches, the people that you have in your corner on a daily basis. And it was a crazy day for me. And, super grateful, super thankful for this year so far. And, just being able to, really excited to take it in the second half.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn. 2025 All-Star Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live to reflect on becoming an All-Star for the second time in 3 years.
And I walked in that locker room in Seattle and saw my jersey and saw the rest of the jerseys that were there, and it's kind of like one of these things doesn't belong here, and that's probably mine. I didn't feel like I was the same caliber of player as the rest of the guys in that clubhouse. So to be able to do it again 2 years later, just continues to help me build confidence and know that I can go out there day in, day out and compete at a pretty high level.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
A's Cast Live continues from West Sacramento. Here's Chris Townsend.
David Feldman, our A's historian, joins us here on A's Cast Live. And as you can see, now you won't be able to see on A's Cast or on the A's radio network, but he is wearing his official Major League Baseball polo, which means you are the official scorer of the game today working for Major League Baseball.
I am. I'm the official scorer. As you pointed, this is my uniform.
This is his uni. So everybody's got a certain uniform that they wear. I'll always have an A's polo on, repping our organization. When you normally show up and you're just working for NBC, you are not in official gear.
No, I'm slobbish in a T-shirt.
So this is when I know you actually are official.
This is a collared shirt, so that's a pretty special thing.
You technically are deciding guys' historical value and deciding on certain numbers that are going to help them make more money. I mean, you have a lot of pressure today.
Well, sure, you put it that way. Yes, the numbers will add up. There was a situation last night in the Angels game where the official scorer gave the win to one pitcher, but he was given incorrectly. So this morning they had to change that. It was Reed Detmers. So Reed Detmers thought he got the win last night. He's feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
This morning he finds out, I didn't get the win. And there's a lot of bettors who were probably kind of unhappy too.
Okay, what people may not know is that you guys, and there's X amount of you around the country in big league cities that are keeping score. You're the official scorer. It's been going on forever. Yes. But you guys now can review things as like a committee, correct? And help make changes in baseball?
Well, what they have now is, so a scorer isn't on an island. So scorer is scoring the game. He also has somebody else who's at home watching the game to support him. Someone who's another official scorer, but also very much knows the rules. And they can also talk to other support members during a game. Like this morning, I supported 3 different games. I watched the Twins and the Red Sox, the Blue Jays and the Orioles, and what was my other game? The Tigers and the Diamondbacks. So I watched all 3 games, and if any scoring situations came up, they could ask me what I thought, or if there was a rule, or I could throw it into a Slack room where other support members are and say, hey, what do you think about this? The whole purpose is to get it right and to be consistent. It's still the idea is that a hit in Baltimore is going to be a hit in Kansas City. It's going to be a hit in Seattle. That's the goal. And I think if you look around the league, scoring has definitely got much more consistent over the last few years.
Yeah, because what they said years ago, before you and I were even in the business, they talked about how there could be, let's just say, a guy in Kansas City and how he's going to score it and how he just scores it on who he likes, who he doesn't like, which teams he doesn't like for the hometown team. And what we want is just, hey, if it's a hit, it's a hit. If it's an error, it's an error. It just be right, be consistent.
Be consistent. You know, Kansas City is a great example because anytime George Brett put the ball in play, it was a hit. It could have been a 2-hopper to the second baseman who had all the time in the world, and if he bobbled it, base hit, George. I'm not kidding either. I mean, that's just the way it was. Now there's oversight. I know there are a lot of scoring calls that people still get frustrated with. I get frustrated with the way we're supposed to call certain things. It really is a benefit to the batter. We're really pro hits, right? You know, that's just the way it is.
Because I watch games and I go, that's an error, and then it pops up base hit. I go, how's that a hit?
And it happens a lot, but now with exit velocity, we have that tool to our disposal. If a ball's hit that hard or how the hop is, we're much more judgmental than we ever been with defenders. I think at times to a detriment. I think these are major league fielders, and we need to raise the standard. These plays should be made. But at least we're getting consistent. So if a guy knows he hits that ball and it's hit at 110 miles an hour and it's a short hop to the shortstop and he can't field it, that's going to be a hit.
I am a horrible judge because being an ex-pitcher, I think they should get everything.
Yeah.
Like I saw was it last night or the night before, there was a ball that Julio Rodriguez barely missed, and it was a double for the A's. And I was like, man, he should have had that. I think guys should have everything. If your mitt's even sniffing it, you should have it. If not, give that guy an error.
That's what a lot of pitchers feel like. Like today in the Giants
game, job.
There was a pop-up, left fielder, shortstop coming together, and they both stopped, and the ball drops. Well, for the pitcher, that's an out. You know you got the out. Goes down as a base hit because neither guy put himself in position to actually catch the ball.
Rough for the San Francisco Giants. I can't tell you it hurts me whatsoever to see the Giants get swept by the Pirates, and they're out of it. They're starting trading people. I don't feel bad whatsoever, but trying to be somewhat professional. Yeah, it's really rough sledding. I had one of our friends who's a local talk show host back in the Bay who was like screaming at me about Melvin, and I went, I said, are the Giants still one of the better pitching teams in baseball? Yes. I think we're still one of the better defensive teams. I'm like, does the manager get credit for that? Giants haven't had a good offense. We looked it up. Last top 10 offense they had was in 2021, but the last X amount of years, you got to go back to Bonds and Kent and Aurelia and Alex Burks. I mean, no matter who the manager has been, they haven't had good offenses. So what do you think about what's going on with the San Francisco Giants? Because I know you score their games too.
A lot of it has to do, there's just no power in that lineup. Chapman has it at times. He had the 2-homer game the other night. But Devers has not been that solution to their offense. And I thought Devers was a good trade. They weren't getting free agents to come sign in San Francisco. So they went and traded for somebody who's under control for the next 7 years, who is a really good player and is only 28 years old. But since they got Devers, they've been one of the worst teams in baseball.
The worst team in baseball.
It is tough that for them to score runs. I mean, they went 0-4 with runners in scoring position against the Mets in that series. Even today in the 10th inning, you have base runners on, second and third, one out. You just need to put the ball in play, and Bailey strikes out. That's the struggle they're going through. I think and I always try and keep in mind what we went through here in May. This A's team lost 20 out of 21. That's hard to believe. 20 out of 21. Right? This team, because even at the time we're going, this team is not that bad. This is not a lose. This isn't the 2 years ago A's, the 112 loss A's. But you get into these funks, and a baseball team can get into a funk, and that's what the Giants are in now. 6 games out of the wild card spot. They traded Tyler Rogers. I would expect them to listen and maybe make more moves because it's too big of a hill to climb this year to get in the postseason. I think for them, they need to be looking towards next year.
Yeah, it is a tough situation for a fan base right now. You have so many teams that are, and this is what the extra wild card has done, and it keeps so many teams in it. But on the flip side of that, it's kind of killed the trading deadline. And so you got guys like Cody who are on Twitter going, I'm seeing this, I haven't seen that. And I go, there is a major difference between shopping and listening. Shopping is when you put a guy out there and you let everybody know he is available. Listening, we'll listen. There's a big difference.
But, also with the July 31st deadline now, and the wild card, you're the St. Louis Cardinals. You're 5 games out. You're a game over 500. You're about 5 games out of a wild card spot, and you trade your closer.
Yeah, Helsley's gone.
Helsley's now with the Mets. I'm like, at that point, that's where a team really has to judge. Are we in it for real, or are we just not? Are we just pretending? Are we just a 500 team? That's a tough call. And I think for the other players on that team, if you're the Cardinals and you've been pushing now for 4 months and you're humping and trying to get over the top, and now you traded your closer. What does that say to the rest of the guys? I mean, we're out of it. We're done. We're not. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's a tough situation, but you know what? Fool's gold, right? You know who was great at that was Billy Beane. Billy Beane would look at a team and say, yes, this team's got a shot, or he'd look at a team and go, this team's not going to do it.
But the thing that made Billy and David Force, when they were at their best, is when they were in contention and they knew what they needed. And I go back just a few years to 2021 when they went out and got Starling Marte, Yan Gomes, and Josh Harrison. That was brilliant. It was
Marte looked like Ricky Anderson.
He was, and it's exactly what the team needed. Now, this was when Ramon Laureano got suspended. I think they knew that was coming. They knew that. So getting Marte was really important. But that was when they're at their best, when they need to go out and get something. I felt the other way around. I didn't think they made very good trades. And I look back to just last year, the Lucas Erceg trade. I think that is a trade that you look back on and go, we didn't need to do that. We had control of this guy. Yeah, we got a minor league pitcher. We got another guy who's supposed to throw hard who's already gone out of the organization.
To L.A.
I'd like to think like this year with Michael Kelly. Very similar. Michael Kelly's got 5 more years of team control. He's a big part of this bullpen setting up for Mason Miller.
Can give you multiple innings.
Give you more. We've seen the last 2 days. The A's are getting calls on him. I don't want them to trade him. He's such a huge part of this team winning games going down the stretch.
Is there anybody you would depart with?
I think besides, if somebody's calling for Urias or Urshela or maybe even Miguel Andujar, I definitely listen. On the pitching staff, it's Sean Newcomb. Now, Sean Newcomb is pitching great.
No doubt.
He's also a free agent at the end of the year. Other teams, and you're looking around, teams are bullish on bullpen guys. You might be able to make a really good deal for a guy you picked up basically mid-season. He looks great. There's confidence on the mound. This was the Newcomb before the injuries. But I think you got to listen. And that's the type of guy I think you can trade and get value for, especially if you get a little bidding war going for his services. You might come out ahead with that.
Well, those names right there that you mentioned, Urias, Urshela, I think if they get traded, no one's going to – I don't even know how you move Urshela. He's got no home runs. I don't
think there's any –
Andujar, I could see why somebody would want to, hey, guy can legitimately hit. He's now shown you can play third. He can play in the outfield. And then you think Newcomb, any of those guys will miss them and will say, man, sucks he got, but no one's going to be like, oh my God. It's if you go Mason Miller.
Right.
If, if all of a sudden hit Springs, this is gone. Sears is gone. Severino is gone. Severino, I was texting with some people today about Severino, and a lot of people just feel like I have felt. I thought people thought the money was too much in the offseason. They're still going to think the money's too much now. And now you'd have to actually give up some of your prospect capital and the money. Whether the A's would pick up some of the money, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see them trading any part of their future. And like those guys we talk about, they're not really part of this A's future going forward. I don't see them trading anybody else, except for maybe JP Sears. If people come calling on JP Sears, I think the A's would listen.
Yeah.
It's not a move they want to make or have to make, but that's the type you talk about.
You're going to listen.
You're going to listen, and you're going to see, well, maybe there's a fit there. But outside of that, these offensive players the A's have, and they look like they're all playing the big leagues and could be impact players. I don't think you're moving any of those guys.
Anything else you're hot on before we let you go?
I keep thinking about the Nick Kurtz night, the 4-homer night, and just seeing something like that. It's only happened 20 times in big league history. And when in the pantheon of great offensive games, to me, it really is, Shohei last year, Sean Green with the Dodgers in 2002 when he had it. I don't think there's anything else that comes close to that in a regular season game. 6 for 6 with 6 runs. I mean, only 9 times has a guy scored 6 runs in a game. Now he's got the 4 homers and the RBIs, and the fact that he comes up in the 9th inning, thanks to Carlos Cortez getting a big hit. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
That's getting him up to bat. And I know people like to say, well, that last one was against a position player. You know what? Lawrence Butler came up in the 9th inning in Philadelphia last year against Garrett Stubbs, a position player with a chance to hit 4 home runs. Didn't happen. Just because you're facing a position player doesn't mean you're hitting home runs. Not everybody hit a home run.
No, and then also the double was also a home run. Could have been 5.
About a foot and a half away.
Yeah, it truly was one of the greatest offensive nights that we have ever seen. I mean, it was that one graphic. I got it on my phone somewhere where it was like the 4 home runs, the 6 hits, this whole list of things that he did in one night that no one else in the history of baseball had ever done and have on their resume for their entire career.
Yeah.
Nobody, not Ruth, not Mays, not whoever.
And you're doing this in your first season as a big leaguer and handling it so well too. Just the way I watched a lot of the post-game interviews. He's on SportsCenter. Just handling himself so well, kind of in awe of what he did, but not blown away by it, right? I expect, at the end of this year now, especially with Jacob Wilson down for a little bit, Kurtz has got to be your front runner for Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's leading all rookies in homers and RBIs and OPS. I'm really interested to see this last 2 months because now he's a known quantity. No one's going to be surprised. You're already starting to see him pitch him differently, right? They're up and in with high heat on him. It's time for him to adjust to that, which I think he will. I think he's a smart hitter, but it's going to be fun to watch these next 2 months and see how he does the adjustment, the adjust back. It's fun.
You're seeing in this series where they're busting them up and in.
Up and in.
You're already starting to see it. Hey, good stuff. Speaking of that, Kurtz is the favorite to win the American League Rookie of the Year. Adam Burke from VSiN, who are going to start a relationship with VSiN, little gaming down in Las Vegas, makes his debut right here on A's Cast Live. Well, now joining us here on A's Cast Live, Adam Burke from VSiN, and it's an honor to have him on. It's the first time of hopefully many times we're going to have him on. He is the baseball guy for VSiN. VSiN's done an unbelievable job in the gaming world. I've known about it for a long time. My working with Brent Musburger with the Raiders, ultimate respect for Brent Musburger has been a big part of VSiN. Hey, Adam, it is great to have you on. We appreciate the time.
Good to be with you, Chris, man. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully you invite me back after this first performance here.
Well, I mean, here's the reality, right? Where baseball is going, when we look at all the advertisements, when we look at like all the pre and post game shows around baseball, we're constantly giving numbers and we're giving odds and we're telling you money line, and we're going over and unders, and we're looking at certain prop bets. Everybody is in baseball is doing it. We have gambling sponsorships throughout baseball. We now have casinos connected to stadiums. We're moving to Las Vegas. I mean, where this thing is going from a point to where we were like no gambling whatsoever ever in baseball to now gambling and gaming is definitely a part of baseball.
Yeah, it really is. Some of the bad parts about it too, apparently, in light of some of the news that's been coming out here recently. But yeah, look, it drives ratings, it drives eyeballs. People were always paying to play in fantasy baseball leagues and stuff like that. So, they were invested in the games, invested in the teams, invested in teams that they didn't even like necessarily, not even their hometown team. It just kind of adds a little bit more of an entertainment element to it. And baseball embracing it in the way that it has, along with all of the other major sports. It was only a matter of time once it got legalized here in the U.S., and it's not done growing yet.
Well, what's different for us in that you're going to help take us through, because obviously working in baseball these years, I've never been able to bet baseball. A lot of us understand betting through football, right? Each team gets a certain amount of points. We have over and unders. We can bet if you're, in Nevada, you can bet in game. If you're not, you can bet first half. You can bet second half. Obviously, there's the prop bets. But there's a big difference with baseball, because baseball, you don't have this team is favored by 18 points or this team's favorite. Baseball works differently.
Yeah, it definitely does. So, to your point, right, they put a spread on a football game or on a basketball game, and that's kind of, in theory, the gap between the two teams, right? The handicap that the underdog gets relative to, playing a stronger team, playing a better team, or maybe injuries are involved, stuff like that. But baseball is different. Baseball is a money line sport. So the gap between teams basically is shown in how much you have to risk to win X amount of money. And, you get a favorite, you get an underdog. And the underdog, it's going to be, let's say, for example, here tonight with the A's, bet 100 to win 100. They're an even money underdog here tonight, but you'd have to bet 122 to win 100 on Seattle because they're the favorite. So that's the way that the sports books set this up. And the thing about it is, money lines in any sport correlate to an expected win probability, basically. So a team would be, if they're minus 150, they're basically 60% likely to win in the minds of the odds makers, in the minds of the betting markets. So that's just kind of the way you look at it when it comes to baseball. You look at the money line, it's got an implied probability. There's a house edge baked in as well because the sports books need their cut. But that's how it works. You look at it and you say, okay, do I think this team will win this game more than 60% of the time? You start breaking down the handicap, the matchups, the starting pitchers, all of that. And you take all of the information that you can and try to make as smart and informative a wager as possible.
It's so fascinating. The latest book came out about Earl Weaver, the last manager, where it talked about Earl Weaver growing up in St. Louis, and his uncle was basically a bookie, and he grew up around the numbers, and that's the numbers he used building the great Baltimore Oriole team. So Earl Weaver, one of the greatest managers, Hall of Fame managers, looked at baseball. His analytics were more of a gaming versus what we have today. So people have looked at it like this for many years. So people need to understand when they see the minus 140 or the plus 140, it's based off $100. So minus 140 is if you bet 100, you can win 140. If you want to win that 100, you'd have to bet, and your plus, you'd have to bet $140 to win that 100. I think a lot of people don't always, when they see the plus, the minus, and they see those numbers, they don't understand.
Yeah. So, look, again, you think of it on a scale of 10, 100, whatever you want to look at it as. And like I said, with Seattle here tonight, small favorite, minus 122, you bet 122 to win 100, and that's the way that I think a lot of people like to simplify that math. You could bet $100 to win, 78 or whatever the return's going to be on that. But it's just, it's the way that it's been done for a very, very long time. Sports betting is relatively new in a legal sense in the United States, but it's something that's been going on in Europe for a very, very long time. And of course, in the offshore world as well. So, the thing that really changes is just that more and more people are involved in it now. So you've got, like you said, there's odds on the telecast. There's, same game parlays and all these different types of things that, I'm sure turned some people off, but at the same time, it's created a new, genre of fan basically from being able to wager on these things.
Yeah, it gives you a way to enjoy the game in a different way. And as we talked about spreads, we understand that You know, the Niners are going to be favorites over the Seahawks by -7. We understand that's a touchdown. In baseball, they keep it at a run and a half, minus or plus 1.5. Why do they do that, and explain that?
Yeah, so that's called the run line. And basically the team that's the favorite in the game, you can take them -1.5. So they have to win by 2 or more runs in order to cash that bet. And there is more risk attached to doing something like that. So the odds are reflective, of that additional risk, where a team might be -1.5 at, plus 130 when they're a -120 favorite for the game, something like that. So you're kind of taking a little bit more of a chance there when you take a run line. The run line price is also going to be dictated by the total on the game, because if you have a higher scoring total, there's more variance in that game. If you have a lower scoring total, like a 7.5, like what you used to see at the Oakland Coliseum all the time, the run line price would be a little bit better in your favor to take the -1.5, because the expectation is that the game's not going to have a lot of runs. It's not going to have a lot of variance. It's hard to win by margin. So that's kind of the spread way, so to speak, of betting on baseball. It's something that a lot of people will do to kind of, take big favorites, like let's say the Yankees are playing the Rockies or whatever. Instead of laying -400 on the Yankees, maybe you take a run line, cut that juice down a little bit. It's something that also people need to understand. There's a different handicapping mindset to it. It's very hard to take a run line -1.5 with a home team, because they might only bat 8 times. So you have one fewer opportunity for them to score runs to win the game by margin. So there's different strategy elements involved based on the different kind of bet you're making.
How much has baseball changed, too, from the standpoint that starters don't go as deep as they used to? So now when you start looking at games, you're now looking at bullpens more than ever, because they come in earlier. There's more of these bullpen guys that we see. I know that you can bet on the first 5 innings. So basically maybe you're hoping you're betting on the starting pitcher. Just talk about the way baseball has changed with the way we utilize our pitchers, and it's changed also how you game on a baseball game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there have been a few really significant differences. And honestly, one of the first ones was the introduction of the opener, because the baseball lines are typically, kind of set. Yes, the lineups play a part, but the baseball lines are typically set based on the starting pitcher matchup more often than not, right? One team's going to be better than the other team, but if the bad team has their number one starter going, that's going to dictate the price a little bit. So when you go, look at the odds, whether you're in a physical sports book or you're looking online, the starting pitcher's name is typically right underneath the team. And it used to simply be that both of the starting pitchers would have to start. Otherwise, your bet would be voided, because it's a different pitcher. That's not the game that the odds makers were trying to get action on, because, the starting pitcher completely changes the complexion of the game. But then you start getting openers, and that threw that for a loop, because, then sportsbooks were just like, all right, well, whoever's starting, we're just taking action on that bet, especially if it was a team that used an opener a lot and wouldn't tell you who it was in advance. So that has changed quite a bit. And then also, like you said, you can bet on first 5s, which is basically like betting a first half in football or basketball, something like that. The thought process there is, well, who's starting, right? You know that those 2 guys are going to be out there. When the starter leaves, you have no idea who's coming in. You pay attention to who's available, who's had a heavy workload, something like that out of the bullpen. But at least for those first 5 innings, most of them are going to be pitched by that starting pitcher. And it takes some of the variance out of it. It takes some of the bad beat elements out of it with a bullpen meltdown or something like that. A lot of people really like first 5s.
All right. So something you follow every day. Obviously, VSiN follows it every single day. VSiN for all of your gaming needs, whether it's football. Football's coming up. We all know that it's a sport that there's the most wagered on, whether NBA, you name it, you can bet. Golf, horse racing. VSiN's got you for every single thing that you possibly can do in sports and in gaming. Check out VSiN. So when you start looking at the daily basis, we start getting into this on a daily basis. It really educates you on how teams are doing, who's doing well, who's not doing well. So talk about on a daily basis, how you look at games, what you're looking for when you say, you know what, I like so-and-so today.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that there's so much information out there now that sometimes I do get paralysis by overanalysis. I will get just too deep in the weeds, because I am a big fan of sabermetrics. I mean, obviously Moneyball was, a seminal read for me growing up. And, I'm a fan of the Cleveland Guardians. So a team that, doesn't spend a lot of money, has some pretty, strict financial constraints. So I would want to see why they prioritized a free agent or why they did a certain thing with a matchup, kind of learning about platoons and stuff like that. So I actually, basically in the mid 2000s, I got really into sabermetrics. So I do look a lot at the advanced statistics when trying to decide what I want to bet on for that day. It starts with the starting pitcher always, in terms of looking at maybe they have faced some pretty bad lineups here of late, and now they're stepping up in class, and maybe their numbers weren't that good during that stretch against weaker lineups. Now they're facing now he's facing a really good team, a really good lineup. Maybe I look to bet against him, so I really try to use as many of the numbers as I can in my favor. But not only that, right? I mean, total of 10.5 tonight in the A's game. It's hot in Sacramento. JP Sears is a fly ball guy who gives up a lot of home runs. It's very hard for me to bet on him when he's pitching at home. And there are some guys that are just like that around Major League Baseball, whether they're pitching at home or on the road. So you factor in the matchup elements, you factor in the statistics, and obviously you factor in the price. It's got to be a target price that you want to bet in that game to feel comfortable with taking that team or taking that player prop or something like that. So it's a long process for me every morning to go through, especially if it's a 15-game card like we have here today.
Well, it's about trends, right? It's the same thing for all of us that are looking at the stock market, right? You're looking at certain trends. And let's end on this. Right now, I start to look at certain trends, the issues going on with your Guardians. I think about the Arizona Diamondbacks who have waved the white flag. If we're looking at trends in the past, when we get to the trading deadline, we know how emotional it is for the players. When teams start trading players away, you're trading away these guys' friends. You're trading away these guys' buddies. I mean, these guys are tight, and all of a sudden you got all these different people leaving your clubhouse. You got new people coming up from the clubhouse. I mean, you got new people coming into the clubhouse. They're usually guys from your minor league system. It's very distracting, and we know distractions are the worst thing for professional athletes. So at this time of the year, trading deadline, do you start to look at the teams that are waving the white flags, and they may be teams that you may say, I'm not real thrilled with what I think their performance is going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a huge part of it this time of the year. And to that point, I mean, I've always thought the trade deadline should be a league-wide off day because, I mean, these guys are human beings, right? I know people say, well, they get paid a lot and it's the business of sports and all of that. Look, they're still human beings. They have significant others. They have kids in school. They have kids that, have friends, all these kinds of things. And usually when you get traded, maybe your family doesn't even come with you because, you're a rental player, right? You're not going to stay in that city anyway. So you wind up being away from your family for a couple months. It's a very difficult time of the year for a lot of guys around the league. So that is definitely something that I look at this time of the year. Like, for example, I picked against the Twins here on Monday today because they're going to be trading some relievers. They're falling off the pace really quickly. Rocco Baldelli seems to be on the hot seat. Similar thing maybe with St. Louis, maybe Oliver Marmol, guy who they kind of thought they were going to move on from last year. Maybe because they're falling short of expectations, things are a little bit uncomfortable in that clubhouse right now. So that is very much something to look at, both on a team level and also on an individual level where, if a guy knows he's making his last start for a team that he grew up with, was in the organization with for a long time, it can be very, very difficult. So that is an excellent point that you make there about betting at this time of the year.
Once again, for all your gaming needs, check out VSiN. They got everything for you out of Vegas. And, of course, we're going to be seeing you guys in October when A's Cast Live and A's Cast will be heading down to Las Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to be at Circa. I can't wait. We're going to do shows, I guess, at Circa Swim. It's going to be the greatest ever. I cannot wait. Hey, good stuff, Adam. We truly appreciate it. And we'll start doing this on a weekly basis. And good luck this week. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Have a good one.
Calling all college and grad students. Grab your friends and head to the ballpark with this special offer. Save up to 50% off select regular season games throughout the 2025 season. Get your discounted tickets at athletics.com/student. This has been a presentation of The Athletics.